Hey, what's up, guys? So we're a couple of weeks into Firelands now, and I thought that we'd take a look at the DPS rankings and just see how things are going. So, starting out, if people have already looked at this, they probably see that Fire Mage is absolutely insane in this raid, dude. They're absolutely cranking, is what it looks like. The reality is that these fights are kind of skewed because there's a lot of weird fights in Firelands. So, for example, another thing you might notice is that Balanced Druid is crazy in this raid, right? That's not exactly the case. We're gonna dig into every boss here and kind of see like what we're seeing and what makes the most. So, for Shannox, for starters, this is pretty much a single target fight the way that most people are doing it. They're not really like DPSing the dogs so much. So things like Demonology Warlock are kind of coming out on top. It looks like for the most part right here. You're also seeing Subtlety Rogue, Survival Hunters pretty high up here. Hunters are also really helpful in this fight to have because they can go marksman and they can help break the dogs and stuff. They have the double deterrence, I'm pretty sure. I don't play a hunter, but I'm pretty sure that's how it works. And then like the other things, Unholy's kind of sticking out. Pretty much all of the rogue specs seem pretty healthy throughout this raid, by the way. Subtlety is notorious for doing a lot of single target damage, and they're seeing a couple of single target fights here where they excel. Other things like combat, think are pretty good in some of these fights as well. So you're seeing Elemental Shaman pretty low here on a lot of fights right now. Enhancement is actually a lot higher than I expected, so that's something that we're going to kind of take a look at here. Elemental Shaman on this one, kind of contradicting it. This is on Rhyolith. They absolutely crank on this fight. There's a lot of ads. You can basically just chain lightning off of the legs the entire time and do a lot of damage if you're trying to pad. So yeah, Ellie can do pretty well right here. Boomkin does pretty well as well on this fight. Lots of ads. That's kind of Boomkin's territory. Fire Mage doing pretty well as well. And then you're kind of just noticing it trickle down as you go. Enhancement, again, doing a lot better than you might expect. It's kind of it's beating out a lot of these other DPS in the tier if you're playing it super well. So cool to see, definitely. Gonna go to Beth'tilac right here, another ad fight. This is where the Boomkins kind of get their time to shine, and that's why you see them so high on the overall. It's just because they're just absolutely cranking on this fight. It seems like the top Boomkins doing a lot of damage. Other classes that are doing pretty well: Arms, Subtlety Rogue. You're gonna see like classes like Demo Warlock do decent damage to like the boss and stuff, but they're not gonna be very good on overall because it's mostly like an ad fight. So if you're able to do a lot of damage to ads, I imagine you find yourself pretty high up here. So Combat Rogue as well, doing pretty decent. Subtlety Rogue doing pretty well. That's probably mostly for the single target. I can't imagine they're doing too much with ads, but maybe there's something I don't know about rogues. So Fire Mage doing okay, stuff like that, right? So it's not really a fight that you want to kind of use as reference, but like if you're looking for a moment for these AOE classes, like Boomkin, that's definitely the fight, right? Alysrazor, this is going to be a pretty decent mage fight. By decent, I mean like busted. They're just going to be following her, casting Pyroblast the whole time, so that's why they do so much damage with that haste buff in the sky. They can just absolutely pump. Other classes that are keeping up, though, we got the Shadow Priest, we got the Affliction Warlock, even Assassination Rogue, I think. They're probably up in the sky. I can't imagine they're doing that damage on the ground. Balanced Druid does okay. Pretty much any of these casters. Subtlety Rogue as well. Keep in mind that when you're flying, it's just a haste crit buff. It's not like anything different, right? Of course, you can cast while moving, but if a class benefits from the haste and crit a lot, they're not a bad target to send up. So if you're in your 10 mans and you need somebody to send up, Rogue isn't a horrible idea. So just throwing that out there. Other classes, you have the outliers, obviously. A lot of these people are probably flying if they're doing that much damage, but most of the time you're not going to see those guys going up over like a mage or a caster or something like that. Going to Baleroc, this is going to be your single target patchwork style fight that you're going to be looking at. Me and my Shadow Priest and Guild were talking about this, how they do find themselves a little bit lower on the fight. Most of the time it's just going to be because they're doing the dispersion tactic. They're probably pretty middle of the road here, but you are noticing that the best Shadow Priests are kind of on the lower end right here. Elemental, again, pretty middle of the road. Enhance is doing even better than them on the single target right there, so kind of bums me out. But there is something that we're going to mention at the end of the video, of course. It's the legendary staff. When that ends up coming out, we'll have to see what this looks like in the future. But other classes that are doing pretty good on the single target, again, Survival Hunter, really pumping on the single target. Things like the Unholy Death Knight doing pretty decent as well. Subtlety Rogue again, right at the top. Warriors, crazy. Just all these melee classes are doing a lot better. And again, on Baleroc, it is a patchwork kind of fight. But for these range players, they're probably moving around a lot. Like oftentimes in our GDKP group, we're doing like a dance strat where we just go back and forth and stuff, rather than just like planting your feet and pumping. So you're gonna lose a little bit of damage. But for melee, they can just have infinite time. Going to Majordomo. This fight is a big melee fight. It seems like they're absolutely cranking on here. Most of the casters finding themselves lower, and again, it's because they have to spread constantly and they have to go constantly. So they're going to be doing a lot of the moving. in that case. Again, you would think that you would find Ellie look a little bit higher. They are pretty decent at moving, so a little bit of a bummer as an Ellie player myself. But no, I mean like it's a big melee fight right here. So and then going to Rag, finally, you have the Arms Warriors, and this is where they get to pad a little bit. Basically, Arms Warriors are really high because what they're doing is when the ads spawn, they will run out of the group. They will spawn their ad outside of the group of the ads that run into you, the seeds, and they'll dash in or they'll charge in, and then they'll Blade Storm, and they'll get a ton of damage for doing it. So Arms Warriors are super sick on that fight. You're noticing if you, I guess if Boomkins are able to kind of get a good little AOE, I don't know what they do, Starfall Shrooms and stuff, they can do an okay amount of damage. Survival Hunter, again, Survival Hunter, really awesome this phase, it seems like. So Death Knight's good as always, right? Ellie's pretty decent on this fight. They can cleave down the ads pretty well. A lot of mobility and stuff. So yeah, Ellie's not bad at all. You can also knock back the elementals too when they're running into the hammer. So it's nice to have at the very least, right? And other than that, yeah, we just go back to the overall, and that's kind of how we end up here. So, yeah, if anyone was looking to look into it, or maybe they saw some things that they thought, like, that's weird, they wanted to talk about it. This is what it's looking like. I believe we're week 3 right now. Of course, like I said, this is going to change when the staff gets, people start getting their legendary staffs. So you're going to see pretty much all casters who can get it jumping up. You're going to see Elemental jumping up. You're going to see Shadow Priest probably jumping up. Boomkin even. Fire Mage, basically anybody who's getting the staff on their main or whoever is going to be seeing an increase, and melee are probably going to drop down a little bit. But to be entirely honest, it seems like melee in a pretty good spot right now this tier. So I mean, Baleroc looks pretty awesome. Ragnaros looks pretty decent for melee, and then like as we said, Majordomo looks pretty decent for melee. So melee not in a bad spot, but once we see the staff come out, you're gonna see ranged jumping up quite a bit more. So maybe we'll take a look at it in the future when the staff gets released. But if you guys enjoy this kind of stuff, be sure to subscribe to the channel for more classic and retail content, and I'll see you in the next one.